Greetings, it's Vanessa-Mary. How are you? Thank you so much for either joining me live here, wherever you may be watching from, or watching the replay. It is the Leading with Heart podcast, and it's a podcast that's shining a light on the real lives behind leadership. So, as I said, my name is Vanessa-Mary, and I'm the founder of the Seeds community. And it's a space that I'm proudly creating alongside others, where we have honest conversations with family-owned business leaders or those who work together in a family business. Now, many of my guests are self-employed mums and dads. I'm a self-employed mum, but they are also visionaries, and they're building something meaningful, which is not just about today, but it's also about the future for their generations and other generations to come. So it's not about us being perfect, because I've had some technical hiccups today, so I'm definitely not perfect when it comes to podcasting. And we're not trying to be polished with our success stories, but what we want to do is be truthful about our leadership, about the decisions that we make in our family-led businesses, about the challenges that we have to overcome on a day-to-day basis. We talk about growth, and we talk about the moments that are shaping who we are as leaders. So in each episode, I explore what this means to lead with heart, because we're balancing business with well-being, with our family responsibilities. And, we want to be successful, but we want to do everything with power and purpose. And today I'm very, very honored to have a conversation with a man that I met some time ago. I think it might have been it was last year actually. But when I heard his story, I was so excited. And we met each other in the February because we were both judging a very well-established award ceremony in Nottingham. And I told him about my event, Seeds of Unlimited Success. But last year it wasn't the right time for him. But he did invite me to keep in contact with him and, see what we could do for this year. So I did just that. So, if anybody tells you no first time, don't take it as a no. It's not right now, go back to them, invite them again, speak to them again. And I did that. And I'm so happy and grateful that Tim Freed, I'm going to bring him on now, who is the CEO. Here he is. Thank you, Tim. CEO of Book That In and Toddle About, is on this year's program for Seeds of Unlimited Success. So we will talk about that shortly. But before we do, let him introduce himself properly. Hi, Tim. Would you like to tell us about who you are and where you're tuning in from today, please?
Sure. I felt a bit like Cilla Black there. What's your name? Where'd you come from? Well, my name's Tim Freed, and I am I've been self-employed now for 16 years.
Wow.
So we first set up our first business, my wife and I, which in 2009 technically, but it was called Toddle About, still running now. But the concept was Ruth's. She came up with this idea, but essentially we just had our children for the first time. We've had our first baby, and she got a list of activities from the health visitor to say, these are all the different mums and tots groups you can go to. And it turned out that list was massively out of date. And she instead did loads of research and put together her own list, which, as she started going to groups, more and more of her new friends wanted copies of that list. And she came home one day and she said, I think there's a business idea here. We could create a magazine that goes out to families, just telling them everything that's going on for 0 to 5s. And we eventually did it. It wasn't an immediate thing. I must admit, I was a bit like, not sure about that. But we did eventually do it. And 16 years later, it's a franchised business. We now have 7 different areas with mums and dads in their own area, running their own magazine, their own annual events, and it's an online hub. And born out of that, about 9 years ago now, was another business called Book That In, and I co-founded that with my business partner Alec Wadey, and that is a digital business. It's an online booking and payment system for businesses that run classes and activities. So yeah, that's a very brief intro. Well, actually, quite a long introduction. Sorry, but
no, it's fascinating because I didn't realise that the journey started with Toddle About. So I'm really interested to know that. But it's funny because I feel that I came across Toddle About many, many years ago before it's kind of been brought more into the world that I'm in as a wellbeing provider who does an activity class for babies and toddlers myself here in Nottingham. So that's when I started looking into it, and I think it's a brilliant model. And then you said that Book That In came afterwards, and thank you so much for your help of assisting me to get my class listed on there. It's a brilliant platform, so anybody who wants to check that out, please do, and we'll put links to that underneath. Before we carry on, Tim, we do have people who are tuning in for the live, so thank you everyone who's tuning in. Please do leave us a comment because I will put your comments on the screen. If you want to ask Tim a question, if you know Tim personally, or you've been observing his work through Book That In or Toddle About, please do ask us a question. And I'm sure we can answer that on the call today. But yeah, what a fascinating story, Tim. So it was Ruth's idea, and is Ruth still involved in Toddle About then?
She is, but she's more of the I don't know, what do you call an executive board member? She's the one who kind of says, if I come to her with ideas and stuff, she'll be the one who'll be like, that's not really a very good idea, or yes, you should go with that. She's kind of like the sense checker to make sure we're kind of doing the right things.
Brilliant, because you said that you're in 7 areas with a franchising model. So that's really interesting. We might come back to that a little bit later. First of all, I'm interested to find out, what were you and Ruth doing before she had this brilliant idea?
Well, different things. Ruth's background is teaching. So she was a primary school teacher, early years specialist. And I was working in recruitment. So I was managing a couple of teams in recruitment, recruiting temporary staff, contract staff.
Wow. So that's very interesting that, again, with Ruth's background, and Toddle About is for, like you said, mums and dads who are looking for activities in the local area. She could really bring her specialist knowledge into that. And then recruitment, wow. Well, whatever we're doing in business, we always have to be recruiting people. We have to be onboarding people into either our vision, the mission, or the delivery of our service. So I'm sure that your skills from your previous career have helped you immensely with what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if you want to go back far enough, my first foray into work was actually as a door-to-door salesperson. I was at university, and one of my friends had gone away to America, and as a summer job, he was selling educational books. And he came back one day, and he'd earned a packet of money over the summer, and he was like, "Do you want to come to America? Do this with me next year?" And so I did, and that's actually originally how I met Ruth, because she was also doing that. So I ended up doing that for 5 years, 5 different summers, and we that is trial by fire in terms of learning the ropes of business. We were technically self-employed because it was like a multi-level marketing business.
Yeah.
And selling door to door, and then I moved into recruitment after that. So it's very much those foundational years were very much about self-motivation, about building business, about sales, about retention, all those core foundations to running a business, and I've brought that with me.
Wow, and you found true love as well. What a beautiful story! And I know that you've got a family together as well, which we will talk about your family and that later. But as I said to you behind the scenes, I like to have these conversations around the SEEDS framework. So you've touched on the first S, because you've mentioned the word sales. So the first S does include strategy, a support network. So it sounds like Ruth's definitely part of that. And maybe you can talk about how you're supporting your franchise owners within that. And then you can give us some sales tips as well. So let's start with the S there, please, Tim.
Okay, so, well, yeah, support wise, like you say, Ruth is 100% as a support for me. And Alec as well, my business partner, he's very much a family man as well. So we have Ruth and I have 3 kids, and Alec has 3 kids as well. And weirdly, the kids are like, they're born within a month or 2 of each other. So each of the 3 are like within just a couple of weeks, really, born. And we met because Ruth and Alec's wife Claire were friends from baby swimming classes. Weirdly,
Wow.
with our firstborns, and then I got to know Alec from there. So he's been a great support. In terms of the support we give to our franchisees, so yeah, we give quite a lot of support. So we have every week we have a weekly call with them, where they can bring all of their questions, and we just discuss stuff, and we share some training, and we try to meet up a couple of times a year, if not more. And we actually just had a meeting Thursday last week where we all got together in Milton Keynes and shared some strategy and discussed how we can improve and get better and all that kind of stuff too.
That's incredible. So first of all, I just want to touch on Alex, because I didn't know you had a business partner. And just for context for anyone tuning in, the family business growth summit that I've been running, this is the 3rd year. It is pitched for family-led businesses, but those who work in a legal partnership together as well. So thinking about your business partner, do you have different strengths? Was that the reason why you decided to come together to establish Book That In?
Very much so. Yeah. So we come from different sides of business. So he is predominantly IT, tech. He was a coder, but then an architect, and he's very high up in different companies that he's worked with. And he had built kind of the very early days of Book That In. When we first met, he'd already started building that. And I was coming from Toddle About, and we had at the time a website for Toddle About, but I wanted people to be able to book through Toddle About. And you're going back to like 2015 at this point, where not many of the small businesses who ran classes had their own booking system. And we thought the plan was, if we can allow them to book through Toddle About, wouldn't that be great? And they can then start taking online bookings, and we can facilitate that. But there was nothing off the shelf that I could buy that would do what I wanted. And I'll admit, I'd pretty much written it off because I'd costed it out as well, and it was like we couldn't afford to build what we needed. But I was just chatting to Alec one day, and he was like, "Well, I've kind of built a booking system." And but he was like, "But I don't really have any customers. I've got one customer." And I was like, "Great, well, I've got loads of customers, but I don't have a booking system." So so we joined forces at that stage, and the product has obviously developed massively since then. But yeah, he's the tech, I'm sort of the sales and marketing, and that's
Brilliant. I mean, I love that story because, as you know, Tim, at this year's event, I'm going to have another leadership panel. You're going to be on the panel talking about franchises, because for me, I feel that many, and I'm going to use the word micro business owner, not a small business owner, because as we know, the definition of a small business is actually employing quite a lot of people. And I do feel that some people come into this business world, they've got a great idea, they want to get things moving, but actually they'd probably get things moving quicker if they found a business partner or they found an established business model that they could replicate rather than trying to do things themselves.
Yeah, well, totally right. And that's where franchising is great, because you've got that blueprint. But also, yeah, the collaboration point. If you are building a business that you've got bigger ambitions for beyond a lifestyle business, and you're looking at investment, something like Book That In, the investors would look for a different skill sets. They would look for a marketing and sales expert. They would look for the tech and IT to be on the same team. So longer term as well, depending on the ambitions for the business, it can be really important to get more people involved than just yourself.
Excellent. I love that. Thank you, Tim. So we've spoken about support network. Do you want to tell us a bit about strategy then? And I'm interested from the franchising perspective. So this is more Toddle About.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you decide to do a franchising model, please?
Okay, that's interesting. So originally my plan and the strategy was to not be a franchise. Our original plan was that we would grow organically centrally. So I would build the head office team, and we would just take Toddle About to different areas around the country, and we would run it all from our central office. And we did start down that route. We had 4 areas, I think, by the point we decided to franchise. And the reason we franchised in the end was because what we noticed was the further we got away from our core area where we lived, and the less well the areas performed. Wow. And it wasn't rocket science to kind of work out that actually we needed people living in the area with their finger on the pulse, knowing what was happening in the area, understanding the area to really make each of them fly. So it was at that point we decided to franchise, because we knew we needed to bring in local people, and also it tied in as well, because the time that it had taken for us to get to that point, it tied in with my own personal desires, because I really love working with others and coaching. And my children were getting older as well, so they were kind of coming out of that baby and toddler phase, and my personal interests were becoming less about the content, and also my finger wasn't on the pulse as much with the actual content. So it tied in well at that point in both ways, to bring in other people who could actually run them better.
Brilliant. I love that. I mean, the local knowledge really does help with whatever we're doing. I know that some people, they want to go big and they want to go big fast, but to me, I made a decision with the networking group that I was part of. I'm still part of the group, but in terms of the leadership, I was like, in Nottingham, there's a lot of networking groups, and I would rather be in the area where we have the group in Sherwood. I'd rather be known in that area rather than trying to be known all over Nottingham. And it has served me very well. So I think there's nothing wrong with being local and getting to know the local area as much as you can. So that's fantastic. So let's talk about a little bit of sales then. I'm interested because I read somewhere, I'm connected to a lady on LinkedIn who she does, I think it's franchising training. And she's saying that if you've got a successful business of about 18 months, you may want to think about franchising. When you decided that franchising was the right way to go, how long had you been involved with the Toddle About model?
Probably about 6 years.
Oh, wow. So it was quite a long time then.
Yeah. It taken me quite a long time to get to that point. I had been thinking about it for quite a long time before that, and I liked the idea of that model, but I couldn't get out of my own way. I remember having a chat with my father-in-law, who's a business coach, as it happens. But I was saying I like the franchise model, and he was saying, well, why don't you do it? And I was like, I just don't know that people, why would people do it? Like, why wouldn't they just set up on their own? Because that's what I did. And I didn't understand, I couldn't put myself in the situation of the person who might find the franchise suitable for them. And he helped me see that the people that would want to be franchisees are not the people like me who would be just going out there and just throwing the towel in with their day job and just taking all the risk to start something new without knowing what was happening. There's another branch of entrepreneurs who actually need a little bit more security and a little bit more confidence in what they're doing, and maybe don't have the background that I had in sales and marketing and leadership, that they need more of more guidance, but they still have the same kind of dream. So yeah, he helped me see that. So that was another long-winded answer, but I think it's it's important to remember that the people that we're selling to are not necessarily us. They're people who come from a different perspective.
No, I think it's fantastic because, like you said, people do need a little bit more hand holding. And I think that's maybe why, for some, they're wanting to go down a self employment route, but their confidence is just not there. But I think franchising or, taking on a franchise, if it is right for you, could be something that, more people should maybe have a look at.
Yeah, and there's so many great options, actually, so many great franchises. We often think about McDonald's or places like that where you need to have an investment of $250,000 or whatever, or $500,000 to set up. But there's so many really, really good businesses that are franchise models that the investment is a lot lower than that.
Brilliant. Well, we've got Charlotte Munn. Hi, Charlotte. She has left us a comment here saying great advice. She's a fantastic mum in business, Tim. I really love what Charlotte's doing working with her son, actually. So again, family-led business. Is this something that maybe she's thinking about in the future? Do you go to like conferences for franchise owners? I think there's quite a lot of it's its own industry, isn't it? Like the franchise world.
It is. To be honest, I don't go to that many. I'm going to the Disruptive Franchise Awards in June this year, and I'm looking forward to that. That should be a great event. But I haven't been to that many of those conferences. I've been more to general business conferences. I've been to a lot of conferences and a lot of workshops, a lot of learning, and they're very, very valuable, but not so many that are specific just to franchising. Hi, Charlotte.
Hi, Charlotte. Thank you so much for tuning in. So let's talk about emotional well-being now. So this is the E in the framework. And I asked him if it was okay to speak about his family. And he said, yes, of course. And obviously you've told us that you've got the 3 children. What are the ages of your family there, please?
Eldest is 18, then 17, and then 15.
So wow, so teenage years, wow. And yeah. I know that when Tim and I first met each other last year, one of our common points is you mentioned that you was a home educator. And I was like, oh, wow, we're a home educating family as well. So with yours being older in the teenage years, did you want to touch upon that at all?
From an education point of view?
Yeah, I mean, when did you start? I mean, how old were they when you started home educating?
So Alice, our eldest, she went to school for 2 years, and then we pulled her out, and we home educated her from then. And the other 2 were always home educated, apart from a brief stint where there was some local schools were allowing flexi schooling, so they went into school 1 day a week for they would have done a year, but then COVID hit, so they didn't even manage a whole year. But yeah, they've been home educated basically their whole lives. The eldest, Alice, she went to college last year, so we've kind of stopped at the 6th form age. So take them all the way up. They've done GCSEs and then taken them through to the they've passed them on to the educational.
But you did mention that Ruth's background was in education anyway, so
yeah. That's interesting in itself, because we know, well, you probably do as well, we know a lot of teachers who've gone down the home education route. And I mean, we could talk about this forever, right? But
I need another show on home education.
Yeah, this is a big topic. But to keep it as brief as possible, we know a lot of teachers, and a lot of them started home educating their kids because they were obviously seeing what education was like from the other side. Yeah. And they were thinking, actually, I don't really want my kids to have that early years experience. A lot of them did it, the early years, and that early years experience. They want them to play more. We don't want them to be, force-fed all of this knowledge that they have to learn that they'll just forget.
To do a test.
Yeah, to do a test. We want them to have more real life learning and learning well child-led, we can follow their interests and their passions and all that stuff. So interestingly, Ruth often mentioned that she felt her traditional training sometimes got in the way. of her being able to actually follow through on being properly child-led and things like that, because she's taught, as teachers are, you have to it comes from the top down, so it does take quite a mind shift to allow teaching from the bottom up instead.
Yeah. Well, I love it. And it does fit into the E of emotional well-being, because I feel like when your child's happy, particularly when you're running a business and you've got a lot to think about and your own emotions are up and down because of the different things that happen to us in business, obviously, if you're then having to think about things that might be going on for the child in the school environment, that's another pressure that mums and dads in business are having to deal with as well. I just want to share quickly about my own family. So yes, my little boy, and I keep bracing myself when I hear him coming up the stairs, because I'm thinking, oh my gosh, he's going to come crashing into the room. But my granddaughters are also home educated. My daughter's a nurse and her husband's in IT, so they work that around their careers, if you like. But
Wow.
what I love to see with my granddaughter the other day, I'll share a little bit more when we come to the D for digital, but I'm working on an exciting project, and my granddaughter was sat next to me. I think it was last Tuesday. I was telling her all about it, showing her everything, and she had a book of the stock market in her hand. She's only 10. That's what she decided that she would. And the book was this thick, Tim, where I was like, wow, I really don't know anything that she's reading, but this is so exciting. So definitely on that child-led, that's what she wants to do. And she was telling me from her perspective. And then obviously we were talking about my new creation, and then I could see her mind going. It's like, oh, Nanny, I can help you with this. I was like, okay, then.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's the dream, isn't it? That's the dream, is that they find their own passion and they can pursue it. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that story.
Yeah, well, you'll get to meet my granddaughter at the event, actually. So let's just
Oh,
talk about the event quickly. So
you
on
can give me some
Saturday,
investment tips.
yeah, she'll give you some investment tips, I'm sure. She'll be selling cakes, actually. So
Oh, great.
Saturday, the 23rd of May, we've got the honour of having Tim in the room with us at Eastwood Hall. It's a family-led event, so I do encourage participants to bring their families with them. I love to see the youngsters in the room learning from adults, and you'll be surprised, Tim, they're taking so much in. Okay, we've had one young girl, and she's going to be back again this year. She's been coming to the event with her mum. So shout out to Kate and Zoe. Thank you so much for supporting the event. They've been coming for the last 2 years, and they actually had they're going on a holiday that weekend, and they've rescheduled their travel plans to make sure that they're in the room again. And I know Zoe, she's really, because she became more confident with doing, I think it was the Christmas fair, that she was doing a stall, and her mum was like, yes, because she's been in the room and she's seen as an action. So I love that. I love stories like that. So let's talk about energy. So this is the second
Mm.
A. We know it takes a lot of energy to do what we're doing. And Tim, you are the CEO of 2 businesses. You are a leader supporting other, I don't know if they're all mums and dads in business, but I've met one of your franchise owners, but other leaders who are also doing a business. So do you want to tell us about the energy that it takes to be in such a role, and being a dad, and being a husband, and all sorts? Like, how do you do it?
Well, yeah, it can be exhausting, can't it? So I don't know. I think there's various aspects to that, but energy comes from your motivation. Like, why are you doing something? And I just love running my own business, and I love helping others to achieve their goals. So um, I don't find it like work, honestly. I know people say that, and, and I'm kind of questioning myself, is that true? It's not true all the time. Sometimes I think I'd rather not be working. But generally, since I've been self-employed, I haven't had that, oh, it's Monday tomorrow kind of feeling. Um, you know, and I did have that when I was, properly had a proper job. And I think if you're in tune with why you're doing something still, then the energy will be there. And it doesn't, like, for me, it doesn't matter if I'm doing just really basic admin jobs, or data entry, or if I'm doing high level strategy and coaching. It's all part of the business, and it's all part of that goal. And I don't resent any parts of it, which is weird, isn't it? But my goal, and one thing I always talk to all our franchisees when they join, my reason for doing what we do is because I want to help people make the most of their lives. And I remember very vividly, when I was doing the book selling in America, there was a lot of flying back and forth and things. And I remember sat in an airport one year, and I was on my own, and I saw this elderly couple walk past, and the old chap and I just locked eyes for some reason, and just shared a little smile, and then he walked on. And I just had this moment where I was thinking, he's looking at me, and he's thinking, wow, it feels like that since I was that age. And I had this really, really strong moment where I thought, oh God, I'm going to be like that. And actually, it will just fly by. This life that we have, this opportunity that we have, is just going to fly by, and I'm going to be dead soon. Which sounds pretty morbid.
Well, it isn't morbid, because I'm definitely with you on that.
But yeah, in that moment, I felt this strange euphoria. I felt this strange happiness, acknowledging that I was going to die soon, but acknowledging, therefore, that actually this moment that we have is the only moment that we'll ever get. Yeah. And I remember just sat in the most boring place in an airport, waiting for a plane. I had nothing to do, and just being so happy and just looking around, taking it all in. And I mean, I wish I could harness that every moment. I lose sight of that so often. But that, reminding myself of that moment, is, that's why we do what we do. Both of our businesses are they're about providing people with the tools or the ability to do more of the things they love with the people that matter to them. So that's why I do what I do. And I suppose having that there means that I've always got energy to do what needs to be done.
I totally agree with you, Tim. I mean, I've got a talk coming up that I'll be delivering in May, and it is well-being is legacy. And for me, it's exactly what you've just said. I've celebrated my 50th year, even though I keep saying to people, I'm not 50, because we're in the it's the time calendar. I'm not 50, I'm 43. But anyway, I'm following the 13-month calendar, so the moon calendar cycle.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, that's handy.
So if you do it like that, then yeah. But anyway, whether I'm 43 or 50, I am still getting older. And I do agree with you. It is about how I'm showing up. I love the energy that I have being an entrepreneur, because I'm more creative. Like when people look at the things that I'm producing and they're like, how do you do it? And I'm like, I can't stop it. I can't help myself. It's just coming out. And I love to see things coming, like my ideas coming alive, if you like. And I know that that's what being in business helps us to do, particularly if you're a creative entrepreneur. Business for me is a real good avenue to get these ideas out. So let's now talk about the D. And we're going to talk about digital, because you're in the digital space. And I'm actually coming into the digital space as well, Tim. So I know, I'm so excited. It's just happened. But it's a little bit like what you said before when you said how you met Alex. So I'll turn it over to you first. And if we think about digital tools, and even the talk that you'll be giving on the 23rd of May, it's about how automating your admin will give you your life back. And I'm like, yes, we need more of that. So did you want to talk to us about that, please?
Well, yeah, at the risk of giving it away, but
not your talk, but like just digital tools, and how, as a business owner in that technology space, you can see how they're going to benefit small business owners in particular.
It's okay. Well, I can touch on this. This is that is exactly what I'm talking about on the 23rd. We're going to be talking about how we can look at our businesses and what can we essentially delegate and automate. So I don't know if you read The E-Myth by Michael Gerber.
No, but have I read it? Did I buy it? Wait a minute, I'm getting confused. No, I think I did buy it.
Trying to see if I've got it on my bookshelf.
I have so many books. I think I did buy it, but carry on.
Well, I
haven't read it fully, but I think I did buy it.
So it's a fairly old book, but it's a brilliant book for anybody who's looking at growing their business. He talks about a few different things, but the E-Myth is not to do with digital, by the way. I found that a bit misleading. It's the entrepreneurial myth.
Yeah.
And he talks a lot about how we get into our business because we love doing what the business does, and we forget or don't realize that actually that's only 20% of the job, and the other 80% is all the marketing and the sales and the admin and all that other stuff. But one of his concepts he talks about is that we don't have a time problem. We all think we're running out of time, and we don't have enough time to do all the things we need to do. But actually, time is just a symptom of the real problem, because you can't solve the problem of not having enough time, because you can't create more hours in the day. No. You can't suddenly have more time. It's what you do with the time that you can change. And he talks about systemizing your business and creating processes within your business and once you have those processes and those systems, that you can delegate those. Yeah. And you can delegate them. Traditionally, you build out this team of people around you, and having a good team of people is essential to growing a business. However, now a lot of the admin tasks, they don't need to be delegated to people, right? That stuff we can delegate to automation tools, which are a lot cheaper. They'll work 24/7. They'll do it the same way every single time. They never complain. And they can free up your team and your staff to actually focus on stuff that's really going to deliver a lot more value. So that's the principle that I'm going to bring to the session. And then I will share as well a live demonstration of some automation that people can implement very simply and very quickly in their business to automate some of the processes.
Thank you for your comment, Butter Sky. We've got a question, what is that? But I'm not sure exactly what she's referring to. Maybe it was one of the tools that you're referring to. Is there anything in particular when you're saying we could delegate it? Is there any tools that you would recommend that we could start using there, please, Tim?
The main tool that I would recommend somebody getting started with would be a CRM system, customer relationship management tool, because our customers are our lifeblood in the business. Without them, we don't have a business. And but one of the trickiest things is actually helping our customers through their journey and through their flow without messing it up. If we're manually doing things, then we forget to do things, or we don't do them on time, or we're busy and they end up being doing later. And time is of the essence, especially now these days. We're all busy. If you don't catch somebody when they're thinking about you, it's really hard to then remind them later and bring them back in. So when you use an automation tool like a CRM system, what that allows you to automate is everything from lead generation and lead magnets and attraction, all the way through follow-up and through sales and after sales care as well. So a good CRM system will have automated workflows, and you can communicate with people the way that they want, through email or SMS or WhatsApp, and you can make sure that when they have a question, they can get the answer to that question quickly, and you don't necessarily need to be online yourself and doing it.
Absolutely incredible. I mean, now we've gone into that final S, which is about systems and operations. And I think the message I'm getting, particularly with what I've stepped into, so I'm in a soft launch period, Tim. You'll hear about it more on the 23rd of May, but we've developed a well-being platform. It's been totally by chance. I just feel so blessed to have connected with the application developer. He is an absolute genius, and I just feel like myself and one of my members who we had, well, it was an idea that I was sitting on, and then she said, "Oh, you should do this," and I was like, I was thinking about it, but I just don't have time to do it. But having met somebody who had the skills, thank you, Charlotte. She said it's a great conversation. Thank you, Charlotte. Having met somebody who again could take my idea and actually turn that into something, you know, so quickly. So he's helped us to develop a platform in over a week, Tim. It's
Wow.
literally, exactly. So I'm doing a soft launch at the moment. So I'm not going to put the link underneath this chat. The reason why, I've still got to connect the actual domain name. That's my task for today, to connect the domain name properly. I tried to do it last week, but I was having a very busy week. So there's no point in me sharing the link because it will be void by the time the proper link goes. But we've got people using it already, and I'm getting feedback, and I'm like, wow, this is incredible. So hopefully that digital platform will make it easier for people to access well-being so that they can really embrace well-being into their lives around a busy schedule, but get what they need. So that's you heard it here first.
I'm intrigued. I would love to have a little play with that.
You're going to find out more about it on Saturday the 23rd, because now I've connected with this amazing applications developer, and I think it's a little bit like the story you said with Alex. That's why I had a smile on my face, because when I've met Ernest, so Ernest is based in Ghana, we've met via LinkedIn and totally by chance. But one of the things that he said as a an accountant is, I love to create business applications, but I'm not finding businesses that are appreciating my applications. I'm like, oh, okay then. After a week, no, so I think it was after a couple of days, he'd taken the business health check that I use in the growth gathering and turned it into a digital tool. And then I came back to him with this other idea, and all of a sudden we've got a platform. So it's absolutely incredible, but we will tell you more on the 23rd. But do you know what, Tim? This has been such an amazing conversation. I love the fact that you've shared insights about how you got started, how your family's involved, how you've met your business partner, and left us with some really great tips as entrepreneurs. So in closing, is there anything that you want to share with us that would help us to go to the next part of our individual journeys, please?
Oh, wow. Yeah, I think that's the way you phrase that question is really important, because it is always just about the next step. I think we can so often be caught up in where we want to be in 3, 5 years, 10 years time, and it can feel so far away.
Yes.
And this is not particularly sagely wisdom. I think we all know this, really, but you have to take one step at a time.
Yes.
And but so often we can feel overwhelmed by the challenge of all the things we need to do to reach our end goals, that we get paralyzed, we stop, or we don't do, we procrastinate because maybe we don't think we're good enough, but we don't deserve it. My advice generally is just to try and forget all of those things, those thoughts that are crowding your head, and just think, what is the one next step? And just do that. And it will be very small, and it'll be very minor, and it won't be hard. But then then after that, you do the next one and the next one, and then look back and remember and reflect on what you've achieved and how far you've come. Because again, we often just look at where we still need to get to and what we still need to do, and we forget all the stuff that we've done already. So remind yourself of what you've achieved so far, because it's a lot, I'm sure. And
I love that, Tim, because my next step today is definitely to get that domain name connected.
And that won't be as hard as you think it is.
Hopefully it won't be as hard. Ernest has actually sent me videos of just watch the video, Vanessa, but I was so busy. But I do agree with you, because even myself, as the creator of the Seeds of Unlimited Success, you know, where this event has started in 2024 to where it is now, nearly 3 years later, I'm just thinking, wow, did that actually happen? And that my ideas for, you know, next year are already emerging, and I'm speaking to people about next year. So again, just taking that first step. And you have to have the belief as well, I feel, in yourself. Like, even if it's something simple like connecting a domain name and getting an application live, just believe. And if you cannot do it, then seek the help, because there's so many great people that you will find either on LinkedIn or going to networking or attending an event that's happening in Nottingham on the 23rd of May. But there's always people that are happy to help you. And here's Zenta. So on that point, I am going to wrap up. But Tim, thank you so much for being here. Right, here we go. Thank you so much for being here, Tim. Thank you to everybody who tuned into this live, and we'll speak to you very soon. Thank you.
I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll leave the link for the event underneath. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.